Doing a video series where I analyze Witcher 3 quests meant that eventually I'd be tackling a Gwent-related quest. High Stakes is where Geralt enters into a Gwent tournament and shenanigans ensue, both Gwent-related and non-Gwent related. But despite High Stakes being pretty in-depth, it all feels a bit low stakes to me. And to find out why, here's my quest analysis. Geralt receives this quest when checking out the notice board in Hierarch Square and can enter into this tournament once he's amassed 1,000 crowns and has a good enough deck. Though I'm fairly certain you can enter it even with a crappy deck. Geralt meets his competition, which includes Sasha, who during the tournament reveals a plan to steal the winnings. However, before her plan can come to fruition, the money gets stolen by someone else as the quest expands beyond simple Gwent to include a murder mystery, beautiful women, racist half-elves, a shirtless Geralt, and a smelly halfling. So there are a lot of components to High Stakes, and most of them are pretty good. They do feel a little bit thinly spread out. Like if a little bit more focus had been devoted to any of those components, this could have been a great quest instead of a good quest. Instead, it ends up feeling a little bit lower stakes than I would like. But let's start with some positives. The tournament is pretty cool, with it being possible to lose and be eliminated like 5 minutes in. Granted, as long as you go along with Sasha's plan, you will get paid, so even if you don't enjoy Gwent enough to play and win 4 straight, probably challenging matches, the quest doesn't feel like a waste of time because you're still gonna make money if you follow through on the entire quest line. But for those of you who do like Gwent, you do get 4 games to flex your Gwent muscle and win some apparently cool cards. You probably noticed though that I said that the matches you play in are probably challenging and that the cards you win are apparently cool, and that's because I'm not a Gwent fan, so I actually wouldn't know. I mean, I play it all the time, but that's just solely to get the PlayStation trophies. I don't actually enjoy it as anything other than a diversion. I don't do any real deck building or try any in-depth strategies because I don't personally find it that fun. It's never engaged me on a strategic level. But CD Projekt Red was certainly strategic with how they constructed this quest because they attached a kind of a whodunit mystery to the tournament, so non-Gwent fans like myself can find something to be invested in. Though I'm not exactly thrilled with how that whodunit actually plays out, but I'll talk about that more in a bit. But I'm just glad that this quest wasn't just 4 games of Gwent. I do wish though that the quest delved a bit into why Gwent is a big deal in this world. I mean, I know why I play it, for the PlayStation trophies, but I don't think Bernard Tully steals this money because he's desperate to platinum The Witcher 3. Like, I would have liked to have seen the murder have something to do with a Gwent gambling ring, or if Sasha's plan had had some linkage between Gwent and the politics of the world, since, spoiler alert, it's revealed at the end that she's a Nilfgaardian spy from the books. I think that's a missed opportunity to add some flavor that would have made this quest more memorable. That's not to say there isn't any flavor to this quest though. Like, the tournament members are all pretty unique. Like, this sneezing moderator for the tournament is pretty hilarious with how he keeps forgetting Geralt's name.
Gerard of Rivia. Gerard of Rivia. Geralt of Rivia. Gilbert of Rivia.
And the racist half-elf Phineas is a good inclusion, and it's fun to watch him backtrack on his principles.
I'll not play a mutant.
Are we to understand you forfeit this round? Fine. In that case...
No, I'm not swiving forfeit the round. I shall squash him like a louse.
It's also enjoyable to watch Geralt beat him down after beating him at Gwent. Though having played this quest in Death March, I'm sad to say that my super mutant level 38 Geralt got knocked out by this random rich douchebag. But High Stakes has this issue where it's like set up to be this epic murder mystery and then just loses the murder mystery aspect as soon as the murder happens. Like, Phineas is set up to be like this obvious suspect.
Playing tournaments often?
What to you? Perhaps you'd wish to see my cards as well. Am I a hee-haw for you to fondle before you choose? Shall I wag my prick for you?
Then we have the moderator dude who sneezes repeatedly and suspiciously throughout the quest.
Achoo!
Bernard Tully, aka the actual thief, has a trademark odor.
For days just watching things grow.
What's with the smell?
The smell?
And Sasha herself feels like someone that Geralt does not trust, considering he tells her he knows she's lying about her name. Like, this is classic femme fatale stuff.
I'm a woman. I'm in need of that coin. And Geralt of Rivia would never abandon a woman in need, or so I heard.
Who do you hear it from?
Fringilla Vigo? She told me of your adventures in Beauclair. Apparently you're dependable, so long as the cause is just.
Basically, we have a ton of suspects, including Tybalt, the proprietor of the Passiflora who runs the tournament. We don't get to know him much during the tournament, but I expected that once the murder occurs that we'd learn more about him and why Gwent is a big deal to him, yada yada yada, as we investigate this crime. But after setting up all of these suspects and a potentially compelling murder mystery, High Stakes just starts knocking off those suspects, and not by killing them off, no, they just get removed. Like, here's this exchange with Sasha immediately after the theft.
Before you ask, it wasn't me.
Figured as much.
Ah, jeez. Ah, man, I was trying to make a point about how stupid it was how Sasha's removed from the suspect list, but even I wasn't ready for that clip to end so quickly. But that's kind of the problem with this mystery in this quest. There's no weight to it because Geralt doesn't have to do any real investigation or interrogations of the suspects. Geralt and Sasha just go upstairs and, like literally every other Witcher 3 quest, Geralt uses his Witcher senses and follows a set of linear clues to the eventual culprit. That's kind of a letdown because I honestly thought it was going to be more like that Carnal Sins quest, but rather than a sprawling investigation across Novigrad, I thought it was going to be a tight, intense investigation filled with lies and deceit in the Passiflora. I mean, the guards make it clear that there are strict rules about who can leave.
Coin from the premises. All those leaving were searched.
Phew! We must scour the building. Anyone leaving must pass inspection.
You would think this would mean that Geralt would be stuck in the Passiflora until he actually, proves his innocence. But no, he and Sasha can just leave once he's gone upstairs and investigated things. It's like the guards forgot they said this. And there are no suspects left here to interrogate. They're all gone. Like, I thought this was going to be kind of like Knives Out with Geralt playing the part of Benoit Blanc. And I thought it was going to be mostly about interrogating suspects and deducing clues. And then at the end, you'd have to determine who stole the money, possibly incorrectly. But that is not how this quest plays out at all. I guess if you could accuse the wrong person in this quest, it would be a little bit too similar to the Carnal Sins quest. But at least let me talk to the suspects. Or give Sasha something compelling to do. Like, she's an interesting character, but the dialogue choices with her are all pretty bland. Like, when they are upstairs discussing her plan, Geralt can reject her offer, and then she'll say that her life is in danger. Geralt can then say that he basically doesn't believe her.
What if I told you my life depended on it?
Wouldn't believe you. Fringilla also mentioned I'm easy to manipulate.
She said you could be trusted.
And that's the end of that exchange, just as it should be. That makes sense. But if Geralt does believe her, you'd expect for him to dig a little bit into what exactly she meant. But here's that exchange.
What if I told you my life depended on it?
That changes things. Fine. Let's say I help you.
I'll split the coin with you.
Did you guys notice how, rather than explain what she meant by her life being in danger, she just sort of nodded and Geralt was just like, sure, okay. I don't mind when the choices in this game don't actually change where the quest goes, but I do mind when they have choices that change nothing at all. This one is dressed up as potentially adding flavor by giving us more on Sasha's motives, but it actually doesn't do that. It's just there to pretend to be a choice for the player to make. And this happens a couple of times in High Stakes. Like, there's this choice towards the end of the quest where Bernard Tully tells Geralt that there's something about Sasha he's not aware of, and Geralt can just push forward and attack Tully right away and kill him, and then figure out on his own that Sasha's a Nilfgaardian spy. Or he can ask, what does he mean by that? And Tully will say one unique line, which is very non-specific, and then Geralt will push forward again and kill Tully and his men and figure out that Sasha's a Nilfgaardian spy on his own. Nothing actually changes. But the most egregious lack of choice in this quest is how to handle the money. Like, I cannot believe that High Stakes doesn't give the player a dialogue option when they actually retrieve the winnings. Instead, the dialogue just plays out without any player control. Geralt will question why he'd split the money if he won the tournament, but Sasha literally hand waves it.
So what's this proposition that's supposed to convince me to share my winnings?
No longer on the table. We retrieve the coin together. We shall divide it equally.
But what if the tables are turned?
It's yours. You won the tournament.
But you helped me get my prize back. We'll split it, half and half.
Wow, she will say anything to make it so that you don't have a choice here. It's really frustrating. A quest called High Stakes, where a big pot of money is stolen and Geralt has to find it. You have no choice on how to handle the actual money at the end. And I think CD Projekt Red probably had some fairly complex ideas, but then simplified things to make sure the player could interact with Sasha as much as possible, because she's actually a character named Cantarella who is in 2 of the Witcher books. I always think it's cool how little things from the books make their way into the game. Like, I recognize what Geralt is talking about here with this line as a reference to one of the short stories in The Sword of Destiny.
Met a man once who traveled with 2 Zerrikanian warrior women as bodyguards, but those 3...
Have other talents.
Unfortunately, as much as I appreciate referencing the books, High Stakes feels hamstrung by it with Cantarella. It feels like the writers really wanted you to see her reveal her identity at the end, And then they top off the quest with a couple of fan servicey moments where you could say, ooh, we get to go on a date with and have sex with and get a fun note from a character from the book. Like that ends up feeling like the quest designer's secondary intent after having a Gwent tournament. But to do that, the quest needed Geralt to not treat her like a suspect, to not be pissed that she's a Nilfgaardian spy, and to not demand all the winnings because that would piss her off. But all they've done is piss me off. Okay, that's extreme. They didn't piss me off. But it does make high stakes feel pretty low stakes. But the stakes have never been higher for me because this is the part where I ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. If you don't, I guess that's fine, but I should tell you that, you know, if you don't, my life is in danger.
That changes things. Fine. Let's say I help you.
Suckers.